How do I go? Yeah. Oops. No. Okay. Wait. Everyone is ready. Yeah, my Estonian is quite poor, I'm afraid. Good morning. Thank you very much for the invitation and for giving me the opportunity to share and show you what we do in Europe. I'm not sure that I have the time to show everything, so I will probably make some concentrate on some of the programs which I find are probably the most promising one. We are all trying here, evaluating, measuring, and trying to see what works. So it's we don't have golden bullets. We are trying to identify the options. First, before I start with the school program, I wanted to show you a few minutes video clip that we put together, which is a broad overview of what we do across Europe about alcohol and minors. The European Forum for Responsible Drinking, I forgot to say, is a business-funded organization to help on prevention programs. So we work with our colleagues across Europe, not just on alcohol and underage drinking, but on drink driving, server training, promoting responsible consumption by adult population, etc., etc. So first of all, maybe as a teaser, a few minutes movie, and then I'll go back to the school program.
In Europe, alcohol products are a matter of tradition and culture. Each region has its own specialty, from champagne to whiskey. And most consumers drink in moderation, enjoying taste and pleasure. But alcohol misuse can be a source of problems. As producers of alcohol beverages, we are aware of our responsibility and understand that it is in our interest to promote responsible consumption. This is why many years ago, we started to invest in prevention and education throughout Europe, in partnership with relevant stakeholders. Today, we have acquired a wide experience in this matter, and the time has come to share it. Alcohol misuse by young people is one of our main concerns. The underage do not have the knowledge required to understand the potential harm that can result from their risky behavior. Over the years, we've developed prevention programs such as the work carried out by Fundación Alcohol y Sociedad in Spain.
Cuando desde FAS empezamos a preocuparnos por el problema del consumo de alcohol en menores, decidimos empezar a trabajar con la Universidad de Barcelona, a la que encargamos desarrollar un programa pedagógico que nos permitiera conseguir que los menores de edad no bebieran alcohol, que se retrasara su edad de inicio en el consumo y, por último, que bebieran la menor cantidad de alcohol disponible. Programa que tenía que ir para escolares entre 12 y 18 años y que se desarrolla sobre la base del triángulo relacional en la que tendremos los amigos por un lado, los padres por el otro lado y los profesores por otro lado. Y para cada uno de ellos una unidad didáctica diferente y adaptada. Lo que descubrimos cuando empezamos a trabajar con estos menores es que esos chicos necesitan información balanceada, clara, transparente, que les ayude a tomar decisiones correctas sobre el consumo de bebidas alcohólicas. Las charlas de alcohol con los padres rápidamente se han convertido en charlas que ayudan a los padres a entender la adolescencia, a entender qué es lo que le está pasando a sus hijos.
Since 2001, the information has been distributed to over 1 million students. Results show a decrease of 11% of underage drinkers and a drop in number of drinks per month from 18 to 11. Similar initiatives are being tested across Europe.
Alors l'adolescence est une période d'expérimentation, parfois de transgression, Et souvent, les parents sont un peu démunis en ce qui concerne l'expérience que font leurs enfants avec l'alcool. C'est la raison pour laquelle on a voulu bâtir ce site internet en partenariat avec un pédopsychiatre, un spécialiste de la relation parent-enfant, le professeur Daniel Bailly. Et ce site internet va aider les parents à instaurer un dialogue sur cette question avec leurs adolescents, sur des thématiques extrêmement concrètes. Voilà, mon fils a 16 ans, il est rentré ivre, qu'est-ce que je fais? Qu'est-ce que je lui dis? Est-ce que je dois avoir une attitude plutôt permissive, plutôt répressive? Le site répondait à un vrai besoin, il y a des milliers de connexions, les gens restent longtemps sur les différentes pages, posent des questions, on sent vraiment qu'il y a un intérêt et qu'effectivement il y a quelque chose de novateur dans cette démarche.
When it comes to preventing alcohol abuse and misuse, there's no need to reinvent the wheel. Simply go to www.drinksinitiatives.eu and find dozens of efficient campaigns and creative ideas that could be implemented elsewhere. Initiatives created by the European Spirit producers.
Well, that was a short overview of interventions and initiatives that are developed by my colleagues at national level. Now, back to what I call a school or education program, which always have these two pillars, as the case of Spain, of school intervention and parents. Nicolaus will insist about the role of parents. Without parents, I think we won't achieve anything. So it's always at least these two pillars that should be engaged. So we started, as you saw it more into details, in Spain in 2001, and actually they have 1.6 million young people which have received the information so far, and some evaluation has been made, but now I will come back to it, but we try to work on a longitudinal study and measure in a 3-year time what will be the impact in a similar way. So what was done has been done and evaluated, but we're trying to move into a more scientific direction. Then this same program, so talk about alcohol, has been expanded to the UK and the Czech Republic, and so we did a pilot in 3 countries. The idea was to test content, develop in 3 countries which had different drinking patterns, different relationship with alcohol and issues, and pilot and test the implementation and see whether indeed this tool, which is a website and teachers' materials, activities for kids, could be rolled out to other EU countries afterwards. So once completed the pilot in UK, Czech Republic and Spain, then it was taken with flexibility and inspiration in Sweden, as you see in 2006. Then France, very recently Denmark, and now Finland. And a parallel project is running now also in the UK called Intuition. And today we're here about Estonia. So we have now 8 countries covering a similar work. As you see, they started, it's been 10 years difference between the first one and the last one. So, but these projects have similar objectives. They all aim at supporting young people to adopt a controlled and responsible behavior towards alcohol consumption. And so the clear objectives are to increase the age of first drinking and to prevent excessive drinking. There's no point. The objective is to promote the idea of abstinence among young people, but as they start drinking around 13 years old, the harm reduction is really our objective. There is a number of indicators that we use to measure the efficiency or the impact of our approach, is measure the knowledge of the risk associated with inappropriate and abusive consumption of alcohol, test the age of the first drink, so not just a sip, but a drink you have in your own, and I would say probably more important is the age of the first drunkenness or reported drunkenness, the frequency of consumption and the volume drinking by the young people. All these programs across Europe have similar target groups. As we mentioned, we're talking about and talking to and with underage people, 11 to 13 years old, and this is what school literature is saying, that prevention must start before they acquire a pattern. And actually 2 of our colleagues, country partner, are now testing to start in primary school. That would be the case of Spain, and the case of the UK starting now in tuition. That seems fun. That would be interesting to test because that probably increase the efficiency of the programs. The programs goes as well to teachers, of course. They will be doing most of the job, is using the various teaching techniques we provide them to develop, to work on social norming approach with the kids, on resistance to peer pressure, and building their self-esteem as the main objectives for teachers. And very important, but bloody difficult to achieve, is working with parents. We know they are absolutely crucial. We know that when we want to work with them, basically we get the parents that probably are the one that least need our support, because they already are in connections and in communication with their kids. So this is really a challenge, and the one that will find the solution about how to engage parents would get a Golden Globe, I guess. This program have similar content and similar delivery tools, so they have been all developed by educational expert and academic. It is not because there is industry money behind it to support the development that we have anything to do in the drafting of the content. We are not school experts, so these are the experts. We are just facilitating this process. All the activities, of course, and this is what literature is clearly saying, is they have not to just talk about alcohol and what is alcohol. They have to really work with young people on increasing their self-esteem and their psychosocial skills, namely to help them control their feeling, resist to their peers, manage the stress, which they have a lot nowadays, those young, and finding solutions to their problems. The activities developed in classroom also aim at increasing the knowledge and awareness about the risk of drinking alcohol. They have to understand why there are legislation in every country in Europe under which we're setting an age for consuming alcohol. They have to understand that. It's not going to make them necessarily change attitude, but they have to understand where the risk lies. We have to give them tips on how to reduce the harm. One thing is to be maybe drinking, maybe indulging. Another one would be to reduce the risk and the harm associated with it. Call a parent, call an adult if you're in a difficult position. Don't try to solve it yourself. Would be, for instance, something that would like young people to acquire as a behavior. Harm reduction is really objective. We need to engage, as I said, parents to talk about alcohol with their kids. I think part of the problem is setting boundaries, setting rules in the families. I think the worst thing is not to have rules or to have uncertainty about the rules. And you saw Alexis in France. Part of the website is precisely to help parents to understand whether they have to be strict or not, what to say in a given situation, how to resist the pressure of the kids to get more freedom, and how to set punishment or clear sanctions in case of not respecting the rules. Again, all these programs, to more or less extent, have, of course, a face-to-face intervention with the young people themselves within the school environment. It's either delivered by teachers themselves or by external monitors. Actually, in Spain, this is how it's done. Part is done by the teacher, but another part is done by external people going to school, making an appointment with the headmaster, and delivering the school program, because this is what we see. People and teachers have a little time. And I think there are teachers in the room, and this is probably what you experience. So the fact that we give ready-to-use tool, but maybe sometime deliver part of it for you, it could be a chance for success. And important as well is, of course, activities engaging young people themselves. All the work that you will find on the website, on the printed materials, are all about engaging young people with quiz and games. Per will present certainly to you the contest he's doing in Sweden. In Finland, our colleagues have imagined another way to engage the young people themselves, which is a contest. I don't speak Finnish, but it's dubbed to say no, which is a play words. They will be on the website. There will be 3 short movie, but part of a movie, and young people will be invited to use their own words to say no to alcohol. to record that with a mobile on iPhone and send the outcome to the website, and there will be a contest and they will be winning schools. So that's a way to engage and give the chance to young people to use their own words and their own images to refuse consumption of alcohol underage. Last but not least, they all, and we all have the same ambitions set for all these 8 programs in Europe, which is the measurement and evaluation. We can do a lot of things, but if we don't try to measure the impact and the efficiency, it's worth nothing. So as I said, some of these programs started a long time ago, and they had measurement and evaluation. But what we did last year and wanted to do last year is looking at 8 countries doing very similar things, and with same objectives. We worked out at how we could harmonize the methodology for evaluation. So it took us almost a year to discuss with colleagues what to measure, how to develop the questionnaire, methodology, size of the sampling, what was relevant, what was not. We came at the end with the idea that it had to be at least a 3-year measurement, using, of course, control groups. So you have the intervention group and the control group to see whether what you do is making a difference. And it's true that without evaluation, we would not be able to answer the question of whether this approach is effective, because today the criticism is it doesn't work. And for me, I think it's more the lack of evidence than the lack of effectiveness that is demonstrated today. A lot is running, but is not properly measured and evaluated. And we need more of those, and we hope to be contributing to it. Alors, I have 15 minutes, correct, Tonis? Okay. Alors, I'll try France because I think it's the most interesting approach. Well, you've seen some of Spain already. If I have some time, I will touch on the UK, but I wanted to take France. Why? The 8 countries which I just mentioned to you are in a very, very different context in terms of school education. What I mean to say is France is a very, and I can talk freely because it's my home country, is a very centralized country for everything. We have one president, it's all decided in one point in Paris, and then goes down to every school with exactly the same content, same words, same book. So for those teachers who are here, your French colleagues are extremely, they have clear objectives, content, and teaching material. Where in other countries, and when talking to colleagues in Spain, in the UK, and Nordic countries, there is some objectives to teach drugs, to teach alcohol, but you have freedom in terms of how much you use it, you have freedom in what you use, you have freedom in when you do it, and how much you do it. So it's more complicated because we need to engage you, we need to convince you of making an experiment with us to precisely be able to measure. So that's a challenge, and that would certainly be the challenge of Tonis in this country once the program is launched. Where in France, actually, we convinced the Ministry of Education, right at the top, that was the minister himself, to make a test, to pilot and test school education in France about alcohol, so about developing all what is social cycle skills of the young people, so self-esteem, be strong, and some about alcohol. So let's go. So the name of that program, so it was agreed, and it's a 3-year program called Espace. It's, as I mentioned earlier on, it's a program, of course, addressed to young people. As I said, conducted by the Ministry of Education itself. There is money and sponsorship by the industry, but it's all secured within the Ministry of Education. And the program, because it's a pilot, has a region called Limoges. So, voilà. So the experiment is being done in Limoges. It's a region of France. The reason why this was picked up is because it is average in terms of youth drinking, in terms of context and environment. It's an average region. So it was important in terms of testing and measurement. Alors, the objective, as for the others, is to encourage young people to adopt a responsible drinking behavior, and that means, in our case, to increase the age of onset and to reduce so-called binge drinking or excessive drinking by young people. The project started with, so there was first a desk research to see what was working out there. So they looked both at experiments stemming from France, but from other countries. A group of teachers were set the task to develop the books and to develop the teaching materials for the 3 years for the two groups. Parents have been involved. You saw my colleague Alexis, who has developed this parents' website. There is a newsletter sent to parents. The schools where there is the experiments, parents are engaged to be part of the experiments and to talk about alcohol. But again, the report back is it's not easy. It's not easy. So it's 3 years, and there will be a very rigorous and independent evaluation of the intervention. So there is two parts of the program. Kids are taught, you see it's a lot of hours, 6 times 2 hours every year for 3 years. So 6 times 2 hours around self-esteem and psychosocial skills. They hardly talk about alcohol in the first year, actually. So you can see what the topics are covered in year 1. It's all about the same subject, but going deeper with the kids getting older. It's the same kids that get the program year 1, year 2, year 3. That was a real challenge to be able to follow all the kids, and there is 1,200 kids in the intervention group and in the control group, but parents authorized the experiment and they are followed individually, and no attrition attrition rate is controlled. And very important, teachers have been trained. So 63 teachers have been trained to deliver this part of the program, which is about self-esteem. And there is another 2 hours per year, twice 2 hours per year, which is more about alcohol itself. So what is alcohol? Alcohol in the body, the metabolism. But it's very light in the first year, actually. It's wine and bread. So it's more biology and physics and chemics that they do around alcohol. So you see that this program is much more centered on the personal development of the kids than the product itself. And here again, you have different content, of course, on year 1, on year 2, and on year 3, and 24 teachers have been trained to deliver this part of the program. In terms of evaluation, so there is a group of people which have been set by the Ministry of Education to run the evaluation. It's a longitudinal study, as we said, 3 years' time. And it has an intervention group and a control group, which will measure the impact of the program on behavior and perception, as well as knowledge and life skills development. So that's, in a nutshell, how is the groups going. So you see that there is more than 1,000 kids in each of the group. So there will be measurement every year. So there was a benchmark set at the beginning of the experiment. And then every year, kids are measured both in the intervention group and in the control group. And there will be then a final assessment. And we hope that effectively the final assessment will be positive, and the Ministry of Education in France will decide to roll out this program to the rest of schools in France. Some results that after we are at the end of year 2. Do you see the blue? Because I realize it's not a great color here. Is that fine? You see the 2 colors at the back? Is it okay? Yeah, okay. Alors, we are now at the end of year 2. When we measure the knowledge, remember that we want kids to have some knowledge about the product and about alcohol and what it does to the body and to the person. If you compare, so 6e was the year 1, 5e is the year 2, and you can see on 9 questions, 6 correct answers. You can see how the correct answers drastically increased between year 1 and year 2 in the action group, that's the red group, compared to the blue group, which had received no intervention. So there is an increase in the control group, probably because people are getting older and they read, they listen. But there is clearly a significant difference in the action group. In terms of knowledge, if you want to know what type of questions we've been testing with the kids, it's very important for us is to talk about the equivalence of drinks. between beer, wine, and spirits, there is the same quantity of alcohol in standard drinks. You see that the action group knows much more than the control group about it, which is great. The impact of alcohol on an empty stomach is stronger. The action group knows more than the control one. Alcohol puts on weight, same big difference. Alcohol worse on girls' health, funny enough. There's still some difference, but less than for the other questions. Second, we wanted to test what young people expect from alcohol, because it's an instrument. Clearly, they take alcohol as an instrument to reach a stage, to reach something. So whether it's to help to solve problems, to relax, to get a girl, or vice versa, by the way. So here you can see also that the action group is doing better than the control group because there is less expectation or less wrong expectation about the product than there is for the control group. So alcohol helps feel better when depressed. The action group knows that is actually wrong because it's more depressant than something else. Partying without alcohol is not fun, so although the difference is not significant. Alcohol is a drug, it's known by all of them, so it's already a high level. So alcohol is a drug, and teaching alcohol is a drug as a drug, you don't make much progress on their knowledge, behavior, esteem, etc. There is more to tell the young people. Drinking a little bit of alcohol for a youth at a party is stupid. Not much difference here, so there's more work to do in next year. And drinking a little bit of alcohol as youth during a party is to behave like an adult. That's more interesting to see that they understand that this alcohol is not making you bigger or grown up. In terms of behavior, so the impact at this stage is low, so moderate, very moderate increase. We will measure later on the regular consumption. So we need the year 3 to see what is the impact on consumption. We start with kids who are 11 years old. They hardly don't drink, so there would be no point in measuring that. But we hope to see at the end of the period with those who are even legally 16 years old, if in that the action group, they drink less than the control group. But that's very nice to see that where we're focusing, we have best results is about self-esteem and life skill, which I believe is the strongest thing you can learn. And actually, the teachers in France, this is not common to teach this type of thing in France. I don't know about Estonia, but these techniques on how to deal about you, knowing yourself is absolutely not known. And the teachers that went through this experiment said it was absolutely great. They said that if this pilot doesn't continue, they don't care. They will keep on using those techniques because beyond alcohol, the class is much more quiet. Discipline is not solved, but much easier to handle. Young people feel much better, really. On top is the first year they reach college, which is a moment a bit difficult. So there is positive impact even beyond the program itself. And you can clearly say that there is impact. So I feel able to do things as well as others, better result in the action group. When I start something, I feel I'm gonna fail in the action group. They feel much stronger than in the action group. In terms of confidence, you can see also by yourself that it's much better for the action group than for the control group, and so we can expect really impact at the end of the program, because I believe that this is the main indicator and the main leverage for school for young people's behavior in future with this product. So in conclusion, and that's why I wanted to present this one, and I will have to stop, I'm afraid. Well, you can circulate the rest afterwards, or you go to drinksinitiatives.eu and you see all the programs. So we have a strong impact on knowledge. We have a lower impact on representation and perception, but this is mostly covered in year 3, though that's probably normal that we're not yet there. There is a yet significant impact on self-esteem and life skills, and notably on self-assertiveness and capacity to resist peer pressure. So we really hope that this will have an impact on the consumption in later years. But let's be honest, and this is the sake of the exercise, is to finish the experiment, year 3, and to have the final measurement. For me, this is the best case, and if you can, in Estonia and the other countries, reproduce something as strict, and if you teachers agree to play the game so that we can measure the impact of what we do, that would certainly help the situation of youth drinking in Europe. Thank you.
Thank you, Carole. We have time for a few questions if we have any.
Wait.
Mikrofon, palun. Yeah.
C'est bon.
Ja kuidas te eristate ennetus- ja sekkumisprogramme? Mis on nende erinevus? Sest siin käisid läbi nagu 2 terminit, et prevention ja intervention. What's the difference?
Now, prevention is a prevention activity, so we're trying to prevent harm among young people and underage people. When I mean intervention, it's always because you have a group that receives the message from the teachers and parents. That's the intervention group. And you have the so-called control group. It's a group of pupils that are in another college that do not receive the information. And then you compare the intervention group, the one that receives the pilot and receives the information, with the control group. So that's the experiment part. Prevention is a generic word to talk about prevention policy, prevention strategy, prevention program. Overall, the objective is to prevent harm among underage people in the countries where it's run. So, but the rest is just the technicalities that the scientists are using: intervention group and action group or control group. That's more techniques. Is that okay?
One more question, please.
Kädi Lepp.
Oops, sorry.
Kädi Lepp, Tallinna kooli tervishoid. Tahan küsida, kas te arvate, et selle kooli programmi mõju ulatus võib olla tingitud ka sellest mingitest muudest põhjustest, kui ainult see, et see programm on kestnud üksnes 2-3 aastat?
It's true that it's hard to control for all confounding factors. And it's true that kids are growing. So we start with kids at 11 years old and we finish when they are 14. So they're growing, they get other factors influencing. Parents are playing a different role with them than when they are 11 and to 14. First is more parents, then it's more the peers. But overall, that's why we have this intervention group and control group, is because if we see a difference in one group, you see, we have better result with the group that receives the intervention compared to the other one. So the environment is influencing the same groups. The environment, we are in the same Academy of Limoges, we are in the same region, so if something happened in the newspaper, every kids get the same influence. But if there is difference between one group and the other, then the only explanation, or a big part of the explanation, will be what we do in school. But it's true, I mean, that's why this social science, and you have an expert here. I'm just a lawyer from background, so it's a job that I do for 10 years, but it's controlling all the factors is something very complicated, and social science is not mathematics or physics, but there are a rigorous methodology for evaluation, which they are in place, give you indication. But you're right, they're growing, and the environment, the school itself, I mean, where they're born, the school, is it a poor area, is it not? I mean, about the UK, I had data for the UK, the fact that you are in deprived area, as they say in English, compared to a non-deprived area, is an influencing factor, of course.
Thank you. But Carole will be available for discussions later on as well, so we need to go on. Thank you, Carole, for this presentation.
Thank you.